chat. Champ chat. It's Monday night, the show is here. We'll make opinions crystal clear. Champ chat. Champ chat. Let's see who makes that watch this week. Another transfer rumor stole a week. Oh, Champ chat. Champ chat. We like to talk the Reds and the Blues while we bring you all of the biggest news. Champ chat. Champ chat. Oh, Champ chat. Champ chat.
Well, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. It is Champ Chat night. We have already been on earlier talking about the FA Cup, but we're going to come back and do some more because I have the boys with me tonight, as usual. We have John and Aaron in the house. And first up, who likes the new intro? I do.
It's my favorite one.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's the best one.
Champ Chat.
It's catchy. It's catchy as shit. Oh, shoot. I enjoyed it.
Okay, so no championship football this week. But lots of things affecting our championship football this week. Namely the FA Cup and moving around our different matches, which is interesting for us because it's actually dropped us into a load of home matches. It has dropped our opponent into a hell of a lot of away matches. How about you guys in Birmingham? How does it affect your situation?
I could lie and say badly. I actually have no idea. All I know is that our home game against West Brom has been rearranged.
Okay, so home for home.
So yeah, it's a home game, but I don't know the fixtures either side of it.
We'll have a look at that later. We'll go through the fixtures quickly and see. So just in case anybody isn't aware, the FA Cup draw has taken place earlier tonight, and little old Wrexham got little old Ipswich. Or big old Ipswich, however you want to call it. I'm only playing with them. But interestingly enough, I don't know if John noticed this or if he was watching our program earlier, we now have Ipswich back-to-back. So we have Ipswich at home in the Cup, and then our next match is Ipswich at home in the league. Now, let's leave it for later. We have to discuss that. Is it best to have them in the Cup first? Would you prefer them in the league first? And lots of discussion on that later. Okay, So lots of FA Cup to talk about. What else do we need to talk about tonight? Can we think of any stories from earlier in the week?
West Brom new manager.
Yep, West Brom's new manager. That was one. Yeah, so we need to talk about that. Very briefly, I wouldn't mind touching on West Ham. I know they're not in the championship, but they may very well be next season. And some interesting articles and discussions on podcasts came up this week that got to my attention. One of which is that it appears they are likely in debt to the tune of 250 million for future transfers that need to be paid. So if they do drop down to the championship, they are going to have to majorly reorganize. And the reason I wanted to bring that up this week is because last week we were talking about potentially how difficult the championship will be next season. But this is the flip side of the coin in how hard it can be for some of those teams when they come down to reorganize themselves and get themselves back into fighting shape to come back up from the championship. And as part of that, then we can discuss briefly Lucas Paqueta, who is angling for a move away from West Ham. And some more info has come out on that lately. But there's an interesting fight there. And that kind of leads to our transfer window at the moment. And how do people get out of contracts? Is it a good idea to force them to stay? Is it just let them go if they're unhappy? Blah, 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 etc. Lots to talk on that. Anything else on the top of our heads here?
I mean, transfer stuff.
Yeah. Quite a few transfers kind of did come in across the other teams. We haven't done any business yet.
Right. Well, the big story I think today has, and I guess broke last night or yesterday, was about at Norwich with what's his name, striker,
Sergeant.
Sergeant,
Sergeant.
wants to move out. So seeing a lot of reports there. Obviously, apparently Toronto FC have offered what I think is actually like $16 million. So I think that comes out to like 13 million pounds. But then I saw a report today that I guess there's some renewed Premier League interest. And so that there may be other offers now. Whether that report's true or not, I don't know. But I did see that earlier while I was flipping through Twitter, or X, I guess. Can go to the chat real quick. Got a few people watching. Ted Nelson's in there. Hey, Ted. Free Pug Show, always in. Danny DeLong is in as usual. Chris 727, what's up? And then here's a name I don't remember seeing too often. D Foster. Hey guys, I'm at work but love listening in. Thanks for carrying the torch. Yes, thanks for listening while you're at work. And then Kyle Anderson's in there. What about Jesse Lingard? Jesse Lingard's not coming to Wrexham. That's what about Jesse Lingard.
That was a quick one.
Done and dusted. Took care of it. No, I don't know. We always get linked to players like that. It seems like, you know what I mean? That it's just that's not. I don't think that's a realistic thing. Could be wrong, but I don't think so. Doesn't seem like the type of player that Parky'd probably go for either. So,
I'm not sure he's the sort of player, sort of most Championship would go for. I think that ship has sailed for him really in his career.
Yeah, probably. So yeah. But yeah, that's what's going on in the chat. Donna's in there too. Kyle Henderson. Yep. So good few people watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And here we go. Now see, this is the kind of comment we like. Wrexham Global 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 best looking guys on the channel. See, they know.
No hair dye in sight either.
Just saying. Exactly. So
yeah, my wife likes my grey hair.
Yeah,
it's still a bit salt and peppery.
John's running out of hair, but and then I keep mine covered. I hide my hair, so
that's 30 odd years of going to Birmingham games. That is, man.
Oh man.
Okay, that's enough time wasting. It gave me exactly the amount of time I needed to get my graphic ready, which I didn't do earlier. So let's jump into the FA Cup draws, and here we have it. List of matches that came out as they were drawn. We have first up Liverpool or Barnsley will face Brighton, most likely a Prem versus Prem match there. Stoke versus Fulham, Oxford versus Sunderland, Southampton versus Leicester. Ourselves, we are home to Ipswich. Arsenal versus Wigan, Hull versus Chelsea, Burton Albion versus West Ham, Burnley versus Mansfield Town, Norwich City versus West Brom, Port Vale versus Bristol, Grimsby versus Wolves, Aston Villa versus Newcastle, Manchester City versus Salford or Swindon, Macclesfield versus Brentford, and then in the last grouping we had Birmingham versus Leeds. Birmingham at home. Myself and Josh, when we were going through this, were very underwhelmed with pretty much all the matches. What do you think? Do any of these matches stand out to you guys?
There's only really 2, I think, because I think Liverpool won, didn't they, earlier, or just whenever that's finished. So you got Liverpool v Brighton, and our neighbours versus Newcastle are probably the 2 ties that I think stand out.
I've got another one that stands out to me, and that is, we'll see who wins tomorrow, but we got Salford or Swindon versus Man City. And, we did have a few years back, Ollie Palmer say he could score for Man City. He could
Mhm.
score 20 goals for Man City. So he may get his chance to play against Man City. And let's see if he can score goals against Man City.
I think from a Wrexham point of view, I think that would be a cool story. I think from
Mhm.
a shall we say a
Yeah,
neutral
nobody
point
wants
of
to
view.
watch it. Yeah.
No, yeah, but I think from a neutral point of view, maybe Salford because of the ownership group there
Oh
that are
yeah,
involved.
yeah,
and Man City, that'll probably be
yeah.
a
City
bit more of a
United connection. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it was funny listening to you and Josh, Patty, because it was just like it really was just like ugh. There's just nothing good. Like nothing good came out. I wasn't excited about any of them. And I'm sure Wigan's probably excited to go to Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like that's a good draw for them. They're gonna be happy with that. Hull's probably happy to have Chelsea come to them. That'll be a big one. I'm sure they'll sell out for that one.
Do you see any upsets there? There's only one that stands out for me.
Upset. I mean, Macclesfield's going to beat Brentford, right?
Sadly, I can't see that.
I don't think so either. I don't think they'll let that happen. They're going to go down there with the full strength side and be like, no, we're getting out of here.
Are we counting Birmingham beating Leeds as an upset? Yeah.
No.
See that? Yeah.
Played against each other too many times in recent years. The only one that stands out for me is Grimsby at home against
I
Wolves.
was just getting ready to say Grimsby and Wolves.
Yeah, because
Wolves
Grimsby
are not good.
Yeah, well, Grimsby knocked out Man United, didn't they, in the league?
Yes.
Right.
Season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they got history this season.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Here's the funny thing, though. There's a couple of all-Prem teams. There is, I think, 3 all-championship teams. But if you then go through this list of 16 matches, I would say you can comfortably call maybe 10 of them. And then you have a couple where you might have to pick a side. I think someone is going to put a bet down on the winner of every single match. I wonder how much you get for an accumulator for 16 teams in this.
It'd be decent odds, but I think they would all have to finish in 90 minutes, don't they?
Ah, fuck that shit.
Yeah, that's the
No.
that's the problem, isn't it? If anything goes to extra time, isn't it null and void? I think if it goes to extra
Well, it
time,
might be, but surely you could kind of do a end of the match win lose scenario, like you pick one. Surely they would offer that odds, wouldn't they? It might be less than normal, but still 16 matches. With the amount of people who might play that, someone's going to get it, surely. A lot of those are kind of gimmies. But then again, they might not have any decent value, so.
Yeah, and the worst thing is you'll probably get all of them right bar one, and it'll be
Well,
Oxford.
one.
Who will just go, Oxford are going beat bloody Sunderland, won't they, or something like that, just to mess up your bet. Could have won $5,000. Cheers, lads.
Here, what do you think about this comment? Kelly Davidson, West Ham needs out of the cup to save themselves. Wolves have nothing but the cup. I think Burton Albion have a better shot at an upset. Maybe.
I think both are beyond the point of saving, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it would be a hard upset for Burton Albion still to take out West Ham, wouldn't it? They're not good.
Yeah, I think Burton are in a relegation battle again this season, aren't they? So as much as the cup is a big thing for them, I think they'll probably have half an eye on the league as well.
Okay, so let's have a quick look down this. I said there was 3 championship matches, right? So we're going to have 3 championship teams. But for all the rest of it, are we going to end up with Prem? Or there's one lower league, is there? So Liverpool and Brighton, doesn't really matter who wins, to be honest. There. Stoke and Fulham. Okay. Fulham should take that out, or yeah.
You would think so.
You would think so.
Should.
Sunderland, Oxford. Sunderland, they're playing fantastic. Leicester, Southampton. So that's one of the championship. We're another of the championship. Arsenal, Wigan. Arsenal should take that one. Hull, Chelsea. West Ham, Burton, West Ham. Burnley, Mansfield, Burnley, obviously. Then we have West Brom, Norwich is another championship tie. Bristol. Oh, here we go. Bristol City versus Port Vale. Well, Bristol City should take that one. So that's
You would think so.
Yeah, so that's 4 championship teams. Wolves will take out Grimsby, Aston Villa, and Newcastle. Doesn't really matter. Man City will take out Salford, win them by a large way, we would expect. Brentford should take out Macclesfield, and then this one is, I suppose, is a little bit up in the air. You could take them out, but
Unlikely.
yeah, they're the favourites, of course. So we'll very likely in the next round to end up with almost all. So what, 16 come out of this? Yeah, 16 come out of this, and you might have 5 championship teams, 5-ish, somewhere around there. That's a lot of Prem in the next round if someone gets through. That'll be a big draw. A big draw. No easy ones left.
No, the fourth round's kind of the one where you quietly just sort of gallantly go out and cheers lads, been nice, but got other things to worry about. Because the problem is when you get to the 5th round after this, Prem clubs will start to take it seriously a lot more than they are at the moment, and that's when it becomes really tough. It's don't get me wrong, it's great to play a Prem side, and that especially if you're at home, but I think it's one of those. Do you really want to be playing Chelsea or Arsenal in the 5th round when they're only a few games away from Wembley? Yeah, no thanks.
Okay. This is why we didn't find it that interesting.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted some of the lower teams to have a shot at staying in and messing things up and having a further go of it maybe, but anyway, not this season.
Yeah.
Right. So I mentioned earlier about our home matches and away matches. So let me just bring it up here. I can call it out. So I think we end up on a run of 5 home matches with this now, which is really interesting for us. Where are we? Okay, here it is. So on the 7th of February, we are at home to Millwall. Then the 13th of February was the Bristol City match, which has now been moved / postponed. So we have Saturday, February 14th. It's already in there. 4 p.m. match for me. So that's 2 p.m. A 2 p.m. match on a Saturday.
Is that your time zone difference?
Yeah, but there's only 2 hour difference. So GMT should be 2 p.m. That's a weird one. Do the clocks change again?
Not till March.
Yeah, so it shouldn't. Unless they've given us a weird time to do TV. Okay, so home to Millwall, then home to Ipswich on the 14th. And then following that, we have home to Ipswich in the league, and then home to Portsmouth. So yeah, nice run of home games for us. And just to be nasty to Ipswich, listen to this one for them. If I can pull them up. Okay, on February the 3rd, they are away to Portsmouth. Then they are away on the 7th to Derby. Then on the 14th, they're away to us. Then the 21st or something, they're away to, that's Hull's cancelled. They're away to us on the 21st, and then they are away to Watford after us 3 days later. Wow. Ouch. And they, go on.
I was going to say that I mentioned earlier in the show that Portsmouth away game is the rearranged one, isn't it? That they have before the cup.
Okay, is it?
Yeah,
so it's been squeezed in.
Yeah, the Portsmouth away was the one that got called off due to the bad weather. So they've obviously
Yeah,
that's
it's a
been
Tuesday.
squeezed in. Yeah.
It's a Tuesday. Yeah. So they go Tuesday, Saturday, 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 I think. Yeah, Saturday. But when they have dropped points, it has generally been away. Their home form is quite a bit better than their away form. So that will be very interesting to see. Now they don't have like they have Portsmouth at the start. So the only thing is, are they tired from multiple matches, and do they slip up and cause themselves some problems? Obviously they shouldn't, because they're such a strong team, but who knows? We shall see. So then the question I brought up earlier was, would you have preferred to play the FA Cup after the league match in this run of 2 back-to-back? Because the question was, they could be fighting for the top 2 by that stage. They could be right in about it. They could be in first even by that stage. So will they play a weakened squad for the cup? They might. They might take out a few players to rest them. I don't think we will. I think we'll still go full team. So then, if we beat them in the cup, playing our full squad, they then get to go home and review that match and exactly how our team play, and then put in their extra players and come up with a way to try and counteract it.
It's a fair shout.
You worried about that, Aaron?
Yeah, but it goes both ways, though, don't it? I mean, we could make the same argument.
We could if Parky ever changed the squad.
Yeah, but if
or his tactics.
I don't. I mean,
I don't think he does.
Here's the thing, though. McKenna doesn't do anything different either.
No, he doesn't. To be fair.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's
okay.
I don't think either of them will hide anything. I think they'll both go with strong squads because they'll respect the cup. And you're getting to a point, you're far enough along that you got a chance of doing something. They'll feel like they can get a win if, Parky's going to go strong because it's Parky and it's the FA Cup and he always goes strong. It'll be a good match. It'll be a good litmus test, I think, for the next game. And then you might see subtle changes. They're going to try. We'll try to take away whatever they were good at against us in the first one, and they'll do the same. And we'll, it'll be interesting to see how. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the 2 games end up. You know what I mean? It'll be very. It could be. There'd be a lot of games being played. A lot of gamesmanship, I'm sure, and a lot of it'll be interesting to see how the 2 managers, do it with each, are able to make changes in that second game.
I think the fact that it's at home for you guys,
much better.
I won't say, but I think it also puts a bit more pressure on to pick a strong side in a matter of speaking, because you're the home side. It'll be expected to go and try and win the game. I think the thing with Ipswich, it will very much depend on how far along they are in that top 2 battle. Are they? I won't say how close they are to Coventry. That it'll be the gap to third. Mm-hmm. I think that'll be the key. Is if they're a few, if they got a bit of a gap to third place, then you could see them going quite strong. If they're like nip and tuck with third place, you could see them maybe resting a couple of their, proper play. Like Philogene, for example, or something like that. You would think, he might not get risked.
I just think with having a full week on both sides, I think I think they'll both go full. I think they'll both go a strong squad. You know what I mean? Obviously depends on the injury. If you got, like we did with this past one, Kiefer Moore had a little niggling injury. Probably could have played if we needed it. You know what I mean? If it was necessary, but I didn't feel like it was necessary. So give him a break. Same with like didn't start Windass. Probably woulda. If we really felt like wanted to go with our strongest team, but felt like we could get away with not necessarily starting him. So you'll protect the player. Max, same thing. There's a few players you may protect if they're carrying injuries and you want to make sure they're good for the regular season. But other than that, you're going to go as strong as you can, I think.
I think somebody mentioned it as well. The transfer, window will have a bearing on it, because you might find there'll be a few players you probably both bring in, which maybe not have broke straight into the first team, which both managers might think it's a good
Good
opportunity
opportunity.
to see 90 minutes
Get a good run out, yeah.
against a strong championship side for both of them. So they'll say, it's a good asset test for the league.
Yeah, and if that's the case, if Parky does kind of put some of our new players in for 15 minutes, 20 minutes before starting them, the cup can be a good test, because also I expect the players that come in to be of, in theory, higher quality than the players we have. So the idea of putting them in as their first real match for the starter 90 minutes, he won't be criticized for putting out a weakened squad. And worst case, it falls apart and they don't gel with the team or can't get the service between the different players. So be it, it's a cup match. I can see that logic. Yeah. A lot of people in the chats have been saying about putting out a weakened squad. Now, leaving aside like exchanging players who are basically 1A, 1B, they're pretty close and you don't mind swapping them. Leaving that aside, there's no shot he's putting out a weaker team for the FA Cup at this stage. He'd get eaten alive by the fans, surely.
Yeah.
I suppose you probably, there's an argument to rest a few of the can't replace people. I suppose, like you mentioned, Aaron, more. Do you risk him in that sort of game? I know it's a big game, and that sort of thing. But do you risk him?
But what people have said lately, though, is we can replace him. We've just proven that we can do it. He got injured. He was out for a couple of matches. People were very worried about what's going to happen to the team if Moore has to come out. And he took those couple of matches. Same with Windass. Windass didn't immediately come back in either. He came back in for 15 minutes recently. So I think that question has kind of been answered now. And there's a few more players I would consider to be 1A, 1B, that you're happy to swap them, to rotate or to rest without there necessarily being a need for a full injury to actually take them out of the team.
It's just it's one of it sounds horrible, isn't it? It's one of those games, the cup matches, because if we're all being honest, neither of us are going to win the FA Cup. So the last thing you want to do is lose a player to, I won't say a long-term injury, but if you lose a player for a month or two, for example, that's the thing you want to avoid at all costs. So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. It's one of those, isn't it? Injuries can happen anytime.
I'll bring this comment up. If they both adjust due to the first game, was pointless because neither team will be doing the same thing that they did and had adjusted for. That, my friend, is why managing teams is so much fun. That right there is the fun part. That is like being an American football coach for 20 years. That is the best part, trying to outthink the other guy. So I know it's a little different. So it's not, different sport, and really think of, and obviously I don't know where you're from, but if in American football is basically you have just repeated set pieces. It's just set piece after set piece. That's in European football terms, that would be kind of how you'd look at American football, is just set piece after set piece after set piece, and having to outthink the other guy and figure out what he's going to do and how to stop what he's good at, and then have him do something completely different, and then have to on the fly change something and stop him from doing that thing, while also figuring out where you can hurt him on the other side of the ball. It's so much fun. But that's what managers do. That's what they're good at. They're going to do basically the same thing, but they may just adjust a few little things. They may see a player that they think, okay, we didn't exploit him as much as we could have in the first game, so let's target that guy. Let's, Kiefer, make sure if you're going to pick one of the two center backs, pick that guy because he struggled against you a couple times and we just didn't exploit that. Little things like you're going to make little changes like that, and you'll try to exploit those things. Or you'll see something where a defender will have a tendency to come up a little further than what he probably ought to. and you think, okay, our striker can get him behind him, or our wing back, or whoever, somebody, we can get him behind. There'll be little adjustments like that you'll see in the first game, and then you'll go to the second game and be like, yeah, we can do this. Let's try this. And then you'll get into situations in the game, and the players will recognize that and see, all right, this is where we'll try to do that. We'll try to do that. And, and they'll look for those little things like that. I can't remember the game it was last season, but we played somebody. The second time we played them, Parky had he'd drawn something. They picked something out in the first game, and we ended up scoring a goal off of it. And I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head, but I remember the only reason I remember is because Rich Sutcliffe from the Athletic covered it and wrote an article, and they were mentioning it at one point during the season, because I think Parky was getting some stick about his tactics and stuff, and he'd brought that up. Of course, by then we were kind of on a run anyway, and we were looking really good. But he'd brought that up, and how they had exploited something that he'd saw, and was kind of taking Parky's side on the issue. But it was just interesting, because it was just you pick little things like that out, and you try to exploit it. But I mean, formation, they're going to be in a 4-2-3-1. We're going to be in a 3-5, or a 3-4-3, a 3-4-3, whatever. It's the formations are going to be what they are. But you're just going to pick little things out of each things, and you'll look for something that you can do. Yeah, you just said it. Better to focus on your own performance and what you do well, and that's the only thing you can control. Yeah, that's exactly right. But inside of that, you're still going to try to do your best stuff. But if you can find something and exploit it, those will be the types of changes you'll see. You're not going to see an overall change. You're like, oh, guys, we're changing everything. We're going to back four. It's all out the window. We're changing the whole system. We're just not going to do that. That's not what you're going to do.
And if we're being honest, by the time the cup comes around, what it'd be like mid-February, everyone knows what everyone else does in this league. By that, the managers know exactly everything about every other side. So there's no secrets. There's no sort of mystical plan that will come out the back where they won't have seen before. Yeah, maybe from a set piece or something, but how a game is set up, how a team sets up, and how a team approaches a game, everyone will know how everyone else is doing it. So.
Okay. I actually, real quick, I want to pick up on this one. I actually disagree with you here, Donna. I don't think it mattered who was on. I think we just changed when we went to that other formation. When we went to the 3-4-3 or whatever you want to call it that we're playing now. I actually made this point. We just didn't use Kiefer like we had been against Sheffield United and I can't remember what it was, Preston. We actually used him more as a we weren't using him as a target man, as where before it was long balls up to Kiefer. We quit doing that. The good thing with Kiefer is he can do both. He's good enough to do both. He can play a fox in the box type, striker as well. But he's also a big man who can hit the ball in and hold up really well. So I don't think it actually mattered that this was. Me and Patty actually talked about this on the when we did our transfer show. A week or two ago, when I was talking about some of the strikers, because it was kind of in the middle of that 4-game run when we did it, and I said if we continue playing like this, you kind of don't necessarily need the target man. We can play with a smaller, it doesn't have to be a big physical guy. It can be a more Smith type player because it suits him. So it playing the way we're playing right now is more suitable to different to more strikers. But Kiefer does a good job on both. He can do both. He's scored goals doing both. You think about the one goal he scored against was it Preston or fast break he scored, or that was Sheffield United. There was we caught him on the break. And I think Broadhead played him in, and he just got to that ball. He run in behind, got him behind, and scored that really nice goal. which was more of a goal you'd think of Smith scoring. You know what I mean? You don't really think of
Mhm.
Kiefer, bearing down and just running past, center backs, but that's what he did on that one. So, he's just an all around really good striker. So Kiefer can do whatever we need him to. But yeah, I take your point though. We definitely did play a different style before. We had changed the formation. We were more long ball, more soaking up pressure, a lot less attacking, longer passes, not so much shorter passes. So yeah, it's definitely a difference. But anyway,
Yeah, Habs has put up the formations there, and I would argue that there isn't much difference between these
it's the
really.
same thing.
So you have your 3-4-3 with it being a somewhat flat tree, and then you have the 3-4-1-2 or the 2-1 version. Now the tree up front seem to have complete flexibility about
Yep.
where to go and what to do, dependent on the immediate situation. We have seen Windass, who was playing out right, end up all the way over at the opposite touchline.
Yeah.
Same with the other players. They have moved entirely in that front space.
Yep.
So yeah, if you have a couple of different types of players, or you just swap people out for injury or rest or whatever, they do line up slightly different in the 1-2 format or the 2-1, depending on the situation. But it flexes so much during the match. They have complete freedom. So yeah, in this case, I wouldn't argue too much between them.
Here's the main thing. Our width is coming from our wing backs.
Yeah.
That front three is not providing our width. So you can call it whatever you want. They're playing inside. The two, Broadhead and Windass, they're running inside, which that's pretty normal even if you're playing a 3-4 or a 4-2-3-1. Like Ipswich, their wingers are cutting inside. They're not. You know what I mean? They're really their width is coming from their fullbacks coming forward. Most teams are like that now. Your fullbacks or your wingbacks are providing your width, and your wingers are cutting inside and trying to get in the box and cause issues. So call it what you want. To me, it's tomato. I think it's the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I did a really good breakdown on that, by the way, last week on Tactical Fortitude. If anybody wants to go back and see it, we had got the tactical board out and went through it and really did a good breakdown on it, and went over some player performances too. So it was a good show if anybody wants to go check it out. A lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Me and Ken had a lot of fun on that one. So, but we were talking just about that Habs. So if you want to check that out, go for it. All right.
Okay. So let's move over to Birmingham for a little minute in the cup, and I have it pulled up here in front of me. So the schedule for Birmingham: on February 7th, you are at home to Leicester. On the 14th, you are due to be home to West Brom. So that's been moved and will have to be replayed. Then you have at home to Leeds for the cup, and following that. I need to click the button. Following that, you are away to Norwich and away to Millwall afterwards. So those fixtures sound like you can go full strength?
I would imagine so. I think you mentioned it earlier, Paddy. Davis went quite full strength against Cambridge because he said there was no midweek game. So he said when you've got a week and then another week, he said he didn't want the first team players essentially not playing and not ticking over. So he said he didn't see the need to rotate massively. He said if we had had a fixture on the Tuesday or Wednesday, then yes, it would have come into consideration. But no, and plus home against the Prem team, you kind of have to go. I won't say you go full strength, because when we played Newcastle at home last season in the Cup, we went fairly full strength, but he made like 3 changes, and I kind of expect him to do the same. He'll go as close to full strength as he can, with probably a few fringe players getting a game.
Okay, so then for Leeds, their situation at the moment is they are 16th in the division with obviously only 20 teams. So they are sitting on 22 points. Nottingham Forest are just behind them on 21 points in 17. And then you hit the relegation zone. So you have West Ham United on 14. So they have a decent gap there, 8 points at the moment. Burnley is on 13 and Wolves are screwed on 7. So they're outside it at the moment, but I guess you wouldn't be comfortable to be that close in general, but a little bit of a gap there. So let's see what matches they have between now and then. I'm going to call out January's as well, just for the idea of how many points might they lose between now and then, or should they be comfortable. So first up, next Saturday, we have Leeds at home to Fulham, followed by away to Everton. Then on the 31st of January, they are home to Arsenal. So out of those three, first of all, think they'll get a lot of points? Fulham, Everton, Arsenal?
1 point, possibly.
Possibly only one draw.
I think,
Okay.
yeah. I could see them drawing away at Everton, as daft as it sounds, and I think the other two they'll lose.
Okay.
I think they'll lose all of them.
They could. Okay.
They could, yeah.
That's fine. Right. Then we hit February. So they are at home to Nottingham Forest. That's the big one.
That's a must win, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you look at,
Yeah, got to.
Yeah, so as I said there, at the moment, Leeds are on 22 points. Nottingham Forest are on 21, right behind them in that zone. So obviously, that's kind of a 6-pointer between the two of them that, you leapfrog the other if there's no drastic change in points. And Leeds would push away if they can take those 3 points off Forest. So yeah, that's a big match for them to come up. Then where are we? After that, they are away at Chelsea, which they won't win that either. And then they have you guys, February the 14th, away to Birmingham. And when they come back, they are away to Aston Villa.
Who? Looking at their schedule, that's pretty brutal, isn't it? Because if you look at their home against Forest on the Friday, they're then away at Chelsea on the following Tuesday, and then they're away at us on then they're away against us on the Saturday, where we will have a clear week in between. They will have played 2 games in quick succession. But I mean, it's one of those. I can see them playing quite a changed side.
They kind of have to, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. But the annoying thing is their kind of changed side is probably predominantly the side that got them promoted last season. So they're a good side still. Yeah. Similar
to us with our Nottingham Forest match. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to call them Notts Forest because they don't like it. They got really pissed when Parky said Notts Forest.
Tricky trees.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Notts Forest. Like if they don't, not Notts, Leeds. If they don't take out Notts Forest and lose that, they're in a world of hurt. That they're in serious trouble. Then they're going to have to put out kids almost. You know what I mean? They really can't be risking any players or whatever else. But yeah, either way, they're going to have to keep some of their big guys back. Maybe the way Notts did, they'll have them on the bench. They'll have all their best guys sit on the bench for the match. Maybe take 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end, and then they're available for penalties as well. Should it go that way, just to finish it off. So, I think you got a shot here. That's an interesting one, kind of similar to us a little bit, in a way. Right, after that, it doesn't really matter because then FA Cup is done, they're back to their league, and this is Champ Chat, not Prem Chat. We'll do that next season when we go up. Right, any more you want to say on that from Birmingham side, or happy we've covered it?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Okay. Seeing as we were speaking a little bit about the Prem, let's talk about West Ham for a couple of minutes and get that story done. And then we'll jump back to finish in our own league. So I said that West Ham are in 18th on 14 points, bit of a gap there up to Notts Forest. So they are likely coming down to us. What do we think about the idea of having in the region of 250 million still outstanding on your players and getting dropped down to the Prem? Is it too much? Is this normal? Will they just sell 4 players and cover what they owe? And they don't owe it every season either. So one season they might only have 80 million to pay.
So real quick, I when you were talking about this earlier, I decided that I'd heard these stats before, so I wanted to pull this up. So this isn't like just a West Ham problem. This is kind of a Premier League problem. So the Premier League in total have over, or a February 2025 report highlighted over $3 billion with a B, $3 billion owed in future installments across the league. So the Premier League, just all the teams owe a shitload. And then going into that, down to teams. So Chelsea has been cited as having the most. They have around 453 million in gross payables. So they owe that much in fees, future fees that have been agreed. Tottenham around 330 million owed. Manchester United, there's varying accounts, but somewhere between 319 and 466 million. There's a couple different there's different numbers from different people. So, but a lot, a lot. So these teams it's like they just push it out into their future when they agree these fees. So you hear these big giant deals where they're paying 80 and 90 and $100 million for a player. And then really the deal is, well, we'll give you 35 now, and then next year we'll pay you another 30, and then the year after that we'll pay you another whatever. You know what I mean? And they break it up so they're not spending it all at once. So yeah, I mean, to me it seems like disastrous, because what happens is when you get to West Ham, who owes, what'd you say, 250, something like that, and then they get relegated and they don't have that Premier League money. All of a sudden that becomes a massive problem. So yeah, they could be in serious trouble. I think the saving grace would be, and you're talking about the Paquetá or however the heck we say his name, that situation. I mean, you've got to start selling some of those players, but obviously they don't want to, being in a relegation fight. You don't want to sell some of your good players, right?
So I decided to have a little look into it, into the numbers earlier, and try and work out a rough idea of how much they would be losing for coming down to the championship, because they do have parachute payments and others. So I have a little bit of it here, and I'm going to call out the basics in it. Okay. So first up is loss in TV revenue, which is the main one. In the Premier League, West Ham generated roughly 167 million from broadcasting. Upon relegation, this will drop to about 55 million. Okay, so net loss from TV revenue 112 million. Because obviously the parachute payment is covering some of that. Next, loss in commercial sponsorships. Commercial, I'm not going to bother reading it. Basically, the drop there could only be about 6 million. Apparently, the drop is not that big coming down to the championship for potentially only one season. And because of the big name of the club, a lot of their marketing deals will have this built in. And they're with them for multi-year deals. So might only be as little as 6 million. Then loss in matchday revenue, potentially about 9 million. And then no other real considerations that might show a loss of more than 5 million for a particular sector. So that is 9 and 6, 15 plus 112. You're talking in the region of 125, 130-ish million loss. So that's, first of all, just your loss from the previous year. So they have to kind of figure out what to do with that. Do you just suck it up? Because that money would normally be spent on your loans and on debt owed to your players. And we said roughly 250 million is owed. Let's spread that over 4 years. You're talking what, 60 million is needing to be paid that year. So you have to pay 60 million out of your income, and your income has gone down by about 125, 130 million. That's a lot of money to find. And how do they do it? As you mentioned, normally it is player sales.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I was reading a different article as well, and one of the big problems that they highlighted was you don't get to just choose who you want to sell when you go down to the championship. There is a lot of players, especially the top players that you have that are valued highly, will basically be knocking on your door saying, I want out, get it done. And they're big enough that they can turn around and say, you have to let me go because I'm just too good. Simple. I'm not staying here. I'm not playing for you. I'm worth too much money for you, so I can potentially make our relationship so toxic to you. And then, like, these might be players you want. And what do? You kind of have to let them go. It's a really bad atmosphere, potentially, unless you have all this lockdown or what have you. So then that kind of leads us on to Paqueta. So here from Fabrizio Romano 9 hours ago, Lucas Paqueta has reached an agreement with Flamengo on personal terms, all done on the player side. Basically sounded like got nothing to do with the club. I'm going to agree something here. I'm going to force you to do it.
Well, here's the thing. This is one thing that I would throw out there. A lot of players, obviously not all of them, but a lot of players, especially at West Ham, because they're never too far up the table. You'd assume a lot of players are going to have relegation release clauses, which are going to be a lot cheaper than what they're actually worth, probably. You know what I mean? Most of those would be, rated at a much lower price than what you generally would sell them for. So would it make sense to sell a player like him now? Of course, we don't know his contract, so maybe he doesn't have one. But if he did, I mean, you can make the argument it makes more sense to sell him now for more money. I mean, you know what I mean? You can make that argument, at least, I think.
I don't think they'll have release clauses. I think they'll have clauses about wage reduction going down. I don't think they'll have release clauses from relegation. I don't think a lot of Premier League clubs do that anymore. They do. Wages, yes. Release clauses, no, because a lot of them protect themselves from the valuation of losing players. I mean, I've been just having a quick squiz through the West Ham squad. As much as I think, like you said, Paddy, they could be in a bit of trouble. They got some serious assets they could sell. I mean, that Paqueta, he's like, they're talking 50, 60 million for him. Jared Bowen, he ain't going to play in the Championship. He's an England international. He's going to go for 40, 50 million quid. Then you've got players which, I don't particularly rate at Premier League level, but, will still get a gig. You're talking like Wan-Bissaka, for example. He ain't going to play in the Championship. There'll be somebody in the Premier League will pick him up, and that'll be 20 odd million quid. All of a sudden, you add all that up, it's they'll start to
get you there.
Yeah.
You can get there the first season. What happens then is it becomes much more difficult for the second season and the third season if you don't get back up again. Because you're losing the same amount again. You don't have the players anymore. And something else to consider is if you do keep some of these players that have reasonably high value and say we need them in the Championship, if you screw up that first season in the championship, you're ruining the value of some of these players. Now, people will still want them, but like you are starting to chop money off the top.
Well, and to like I was saying, even without a release clause, he's worth more than that right now than he will be in the summer if they go down, because nobody's going to pay full price for him if they know he's leaving no matter what. You're going to get a better deal because they've got to sell him. You know what I mean? As where right now they may be able to, they have a little more bargaining power right now.
So interestingly on that, listen to this. There's more to the story here. It's not finished. So the rest of that comment from Fabrizio was Paquetá wants to return to Brazil and talks are now ongoing with West Ham. The player is pushing to make this happen. Okay. Then there was an update. Here is the update. Right, the 28-year-old Brazilian signed by West Ham for a record 51 million in 2022 has a verbal deal with Flamengo on personal terms and wants to leave in January. West Ham turned down their 40 million offer, insisting he stays until the summer amid the team's relegation fight, with owner David Sullivan claiming Paquetá is sitting out matches to push the move. Now, there's a little bit more on that, but I wanted to stop there. So, just briefly on FOTMob, I know these are wildly speculative.
Yeah.
They're saying he's worth about 60 million at the moment. So the new club offered 40 million. So are they taking the piss because the player wants out and is pushing for it? It kind of looks like they came in with a low ball, probably willing to up it, but
I'm not sure they've got the sort of money that is required, if I'm being honest. I think that may be sort of towards the top end of what they can afford. I mean, Brazilian football is not exactly awash with money, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right? I don't know if you're going to go on to this. Is this the guy that got banned, or there was a whole saga? But I think it's the guy, isn't it, about betting and stuff? Or am I getting confused with somebody else?
Wasn't that Paquetá? You know what? Now that you said it, I think it might have been.
Because I think this is the player that came out and released a statement, didn't he, a few months back, where basically he said he has zero trust in the football club and zero trust in the English FA because I think he was accused, or he was,
fixing bets,
and then he got found out to actually be innocent, I think. Mm-hmm. But of course, he had already served, I think, a lengthy ban or something, and I think he's just basically turned his back on West Ham and the English football and says, I'm gone. After I remember his statement coming out where it was very damning. It was a sort of, I'm done with the football in this country. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm running a quick search on that just to see those articles, but I'll finish the rest of this one. It's only a small one. Fans are divided. Some want to cash in on his 4 goals in 18 games this season, while others value his creativity under manager Nuno Espirito Santo. Flamengo may bid higher, but West Ham apparently seek 60 million to break even on the saga that's far from resolved. So, maybe there's the underlying issues there. So, paying 51 million for him and wanting 60 to get out slightly ahead covered some wages. And if you say he got banned and wasn't available, they probably had to pay him a significant amount of money when he wasn't able to play. So maybe the 16 million kind of gets him close to draw a line under it and be done.
I'm pretty sure this is the one also that when he got banned, Man City were very, very interested in him. I think this was the one that they were prepared to offer something like 60, 70 million quid to get or something like that. And of course, then this whole, I think the betting thing came out, and of course, Man City had to walk away. So, I think there's a lot more to the story behind it.
Okay. Yeah, it's come up here. Now, this is a AI search here, but Luis Paquetá has been the centre of significant controversy and uncertainty at West Ham United in recent years, primarily stemming from a prolonged FA betting investigation that was resolved in his favour in 2025. He was cleared of the main spot-fixing charges, allegedly deliberately getting booked to influence betting markets, but it took nearly 2 years, though he received a warning for minor breaches related to cooperation with the inquiry, as in he didn't cooperate, I guess. The ordeal took a heavy toll on him mentally and professionally. Paqueta has spoken out about needing psychological support, and it contributed to a collapsed high-profile transfer to Man City in 23. His form has been inconsistent since, with flashes of brilliance, but also disciplinary issues, including red cards for dissent against Liverpool in 25. And he publicly criticised FA's handling of his case. Okay, then it comes down here. It starts talking about the issue we just spoke about, that his desire to leave, doesn't want to be at West Ham, blah, blah, blah. Wants to go back to his boyhood club. And then it goes back into the article, sort of, we just spoke in a different way. So there's more underlying to it, but players can kind of do stuff like this if they wish to do so. And our man from Norwich, he just sent a message and said, Sergeant, I'm not available.
Yeah.
But we'll come on to that story again.
Said, I got some transfer stuff going on. I can't play.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
So just to finish this, let's finish any comments on this one, then we move on. So what you want to say, Joe?
I was going to say I have a story from when we had a player do something similar. That basically, back in the Premier League days, we had Robbie Savage, who decided he wanted to move to Blackburn. Handed in a transfer request, it was rejected, and since obviously he retired, it came out afterwards. He went into training for the next day, and he says in training all he would do is when the ball came to him, he just boot the balls outside the training ground. And he said Steve Bruce was the manager then. He said every day, he said I used to go in there, and he said the ball came to me. He said I just boot it out of the training ground facility. He said within 5 minutes the manager told me to go back in and get changed. And he said he said I just made it impossible for him to manage me, and in the end they had to sell me. So footballers can be dicks.
Yeah, and this is a story we're going to leave for some other time because it's slowly coming out. But there is actually a court case happening at the moment that could completely change the future of football and contracts with players. And it's just very briefly, it's about EU contract law for jobs, basically. And the player needs to be able to cancel his contract. And what the high courts, as far as I'm aware, have basically come up with is that they have to be permitted to cancel their contracts at the end of every season. They're saying that because of the speciality of the contracts and how the work is, that they feel it appropriate to say that you can't break the contract within a season, but each summer, essentially, you should be able to cancel your contract. Now, there may be some penalties and forfeits depending on how your wage is structured and stuff like that. That'll all have to be worked out if it comes to this. But it's starting to look like this is the new Bosman ruling that's going to come in and upend and change everything. So I'm thinking about it. I don't know if you've heard about this. I think it could be a really good thing. It's going to reduce transfers.
Well, yeah, transfer fees will be
way down.
Way down. I'll tell you what, though, players better be careful what they wish for, because there's another thing that'll go way down. That'll be wages. You know, I can see wages falling off of a cliff there, if it does something like that. Because if it's just a 1-year deal over and over, clubs are like, well, you know, whatever. I can get another guy here in the summer. You know what I mean? You're out of here, and I can get another guy. I don't care.
Well, it's quite interesting for the big clubs, because from their point of view, is this really a bad thing? Now, obviously, you have to rework all the contracts you have, and that might take quite a while and be a pain in the ass. But if you're in a scenario where you don't really own the players, all you're doing is renting their services, you can afford to rent the best services. The biggest clubs are still going to be able to pay the biggest wages. And even if the top 10 clubs all pay the same money, and they kind of decide, I'm not paying more than $250,000 a week for any player, and they all separately decide to do that, let's say making their own fake cap, then the best clubs have players that want to play for them. Then it's about who you are, and people are going to want to pay for Man City.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be an interesting one.
Do you know who will hate it? Managers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Because at
can't
the end
build
of
a
the
team.
season, you can't build a philosophy or a team or anything.
No.
You know, you could get to the end of the season, do half okay, and then 5-6 of your players just disappear.
This is a issue. It reminds me a lot of what's going on in the NCAA right now, with players being able to basically leave and go to wherever they want every year. They can enter what they're calling the transfer portal, and they can go and move to a different school, and not with no repercussions, basically. On top of that, now they're starting to pay the NCAA players too, which I don't mind that as much. I think there needs to be some guardrails to it, but yeah, it's an issue right now that a lot of coaches are quitting coaching, especially like in football, or in American football. A lot of coaches are just getting out of it because it's like we can't. I mean, you can't do anything, you can't build anything. Just half your team leaves every year, and it just turns into a mess. But yeah, it's interesting. And I think it'll be a mess. It'll be, yeah. I don't know. I don't think it'll be a good thing. I think end up being a bad thing. So
yeah. I don't know. I suppose once you get to the second half of your career, you kind of settle at your level, and then you may not move around so much. And like the lifestyles of footballers for their family and travel and all this sort of stuff, you don't want to be up and moving your team every season either. So I think it'll settle a bit with a core squad. You're going to have to treat your players well. They'll have to actually want to be at your club, I think is what this is. You'll have to come up with some sort of good relationship between you. So maybe ultimately you might pay them less, but you might actually work together a bit better. I don't know. But anyway, that's a long conversation for later, but that's what's coming in the near future, potentially, unless that changes. So West Ham, we're done with that for now. Again, we can dig into that forever if we want to. Okay, the players. So let's move on to Josh Sargent. Let's start our transfer talk with Norwich.
Yep. So basically, Sargent, prior to their FA Cup game, I guess the night before, I think he sent a text to their new manager, said he wasn't available because of transfer things going on. I think was the exact wording that was used. There's transfer things going on. So he wasn't selected, but in the post game, the manager said that he's not going anywhere. So that'll be interesting. See how that shakes out. Was that just posturing from them and from the team to
Get some
say,
more money.
yeah, he'll go, but we're not giving him away? Is probably what that was. But yeah, we'll see.
Do you think he sent the text, or do you think he got his wife to do it?
She waited till he fell asleep.
That's proper one of those where you want the day off work, but you don't know how to approach it with your boss, and your wife just goes, "Oh, give me the phone."
I'll do it. That's funny. Oh shoot! Yeah, that's not surprising, but I think he's I don't know. To me, I know me and you, John, were kind of having this discussion in the private chat. I thought it interesting that it was Toronto was a team that seems to be in the pole position, because I know there'd been a lot of talk. Pochettino wanted him to play at a little higher level, to if for selection into the World Cup squad for the United States. And I mean, I'm sorry, but MLS is not higher level. I'll be surprised if there's hardly any MLS players selected when we go to the World Cup. There might be a couple, but there won't be much. There might be a goalkeeper and a couple randoms, but for the most part, it's going to be players that are playing overseas. So I would assume that means he wants them playing in Germany or Premier League if he can get that move. I know there's been a lot of interest from Germany, but I think the issue was his wife didn't want to go there. Because I think the move in the summer was talked about, and she kind of shut that down. Or maybe I can't remember if it was in the summer or it was last January, but there was a move and he shut it down. I don't know. I think it's an interesting one. I think he's been struggling. I don't think he's been getting much game time though either at Norwich. To be fair, I think. I think what's that other kid that's been playing for him?
They got a guy scoring goals up front at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. They got somebody else scoring goals. So I don't know. Maybe he's still playing. He's just not getting the goals. But I think his time's getting cut into a little bit because that's somebody else playing that's doing pretty well. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. But for us, I mean, it probably means good chance he's not playing on the weekend. So not that he really did anything to us first time we played him, but
Jovan McCarmer is the guy that's playing.
McCarmer,
He's got 9 goals this season.
Yeah, he's scoring.
Yeah, I think the thing with Sargent is I don't like the way he's gone about it. The whole text message and that to me is poor from him. I do also think Norwich have to carry a little bit of blame here because I was told from a good friend of mine who's a Norwich fan, it was way before the end of last season that it was pretty common knowledge that his wife and the family were not happy in England and wanted to go home to the America, and a move would be wanted. So this isn't news, or this isn't like new news. And you kind of think, have Norwich dropped one here where you just think his value in the summer would have been a lot higher then than it is now. Of course, that begs the question, could anyone in the MLS afford him in the summer? I've had no idea. But I think there has to be blame all round. And I think, obviously, there's been a breakdown. I won't say between the player and the manager, because the manager's been there for 5 minutes. It's clearly a breakdown between the player and the club and the director of football, where basically they've obviously been talking for a number of months, over a year possibly, about this. And it's got to the point where it sounds like Sargent's just run out of patience with the club. Yeah. And now he's just took it into his own hands to say, look, I'm going, and you are either going to have to like sell me or pay me money to not play.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because kind of just briefly going back to what we were saying is players need to ultimately be happy where they are. And I think this is what's going to happen if this comes in, is people are going to find where they want to play and then they're going to stay there. And they're going to be comfortable there. And teams are going to have to look after them better. And they're going to have to look for players that want to be there. None of this, oh, you're actually quite good, I'll pay you over the odds because I need you for your goals. You're actually going to have to find a team of people that want to be there. Now, maybe you're shit out of luck if you're in the back arsehole of nowhere and players don't want to go there. That might actually hurt you if you're in a location that they don't want to be,
Well, that's another thing. I just kind of off topic a little bit. I was surprised it was Toronto. Because I was telling John in the chat, like I think it would make more sense, especially with Josh Sargent, with him as a player. Like he's fairly well known in the States just because of the national team stuff. And I would be surprised. I'm surprised that like a New York or Atlanta or Chicago or LA team aren't in for him. You know what I mean? A big market American team. The fact that it's Toronto was kind of like, that's odd. Toronto is a big market, but it's Canadian. You know what I mean? So it's kind of that. Now, granted, it's in the MLS, but still, it's like you would have thought, Chicago Fire or somebody. would have been in for him. But whatever.
I think the thing we all, as football fans, everyone seems to skip over, and I won't say ignore, but we forget is players are still human beings, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think if you asked all of us honestly, if our other halves were unhappy and they, basically turned around and said, we need to move because I'm just not happy right now, we'd all do it, wouldn't we? I think part of me almost wants to commend him in a way that, his career is probably going to take a hit by doing this, but he's probably doing it for what you would say is the right reasons, maybe. So it's one of those where I don't like the way he's gone about it, but I also sort of commend him a little bit for saying, do you know what? Some things are bigger than football, and his family's happiness is clearly one of them. If that is the truth behind the reason he wants, then you almost have to commend him in a way.
Yep, totally agree. Oh shoot! Sean Deasy says he'd move to Toronto for 18 million.
Hell, I'd move for 8 million.
Yeah, I mean, I'd move for a lot less than that probably, but oh shoot.
Okay, so other big transfers, guys. Who's making moves? Because Wrexham isn't. We don't got nobody coming in.
Yeah.
Not even a sniff of a real juicy gossip.
I've heard
little bits
gossip.
here and there.
I've got
but
some gossip I could throw out, but I've not heard anything that I believe.
But is it real? Does it
No,
feel
it's definitely not real.
Real. There you go. See, that's
no. The you know what? The last piece of gossip that I heard that actually sounded possible was
McAtee.
No. Get out of here.
You're obsessed.
He is obsessed.
No, but this is the better McAtee. I want the better one.
No, not him. No.
The other one can sit in League One.
Hold on, let me pull him up. I can't remember how to say his name.
Siddiqui?
No. Anis Mehmeti.
Mehmeti from Bristol.
Mehmeti from Bristol City. Apparently, he's 6 months left to go on his contract, and their manager. Last report I saw, or last time their manager spoke on it, and this has been a few days ago, he had said that they want to get him and the center back that we're in for from them also, Viner is also on it, got 6 months left. Both of them, they were trying to get deals done with them and wanted to keep them, but it's kind of out of the club's hands. If they don't want to sign, then they'll probably, he kind of made it sound like if they don't sign by the end of the window, there's a good chance they could both go because, they're going to want to cash in on them. They're not going to. And somebody, now it was a random rumor. This could be complete BS. It was in the Red Passion. So you know how that goes. But somebody had said that apparently Parkey likes him, which I get it. It'd be, I think it,
And he likes Viner as well. He made a big play to get Viner and couldn't.
Right. And didn't get done. Yeah, didn't get done in the summer. So, I don't think Bristol want to let either one of those guys go on a free in the summer. So, if they can't get deals done, maybe they go for them. I doubt we go in for. I know I kind of talked about it before and said it was possible. I doubt we'd go in for Viner now. But Mehmeti, on the other hand, I think that one's possible. Now, again, it could be that we may not even be looking at him. I don't know. That was a Red Passion rumor. So
Middlesbrough want him.
I saw that. But I also read something today that said I think they backed away from that deal. Or there was something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, basically the rumour going around, or the rumoured deal that Middlesbrough were trying to do was almost a straight swap. So they were to get Mehmeti and they would send Birdsorg from Borough to Bristol City. But Bristol City basically said, not interested. You'll have to buy him, basically. So I think I read something earlier on X, some English journalists were saying that that deal that structure of a deal was gone, and that if Middlesbrough are considering whether they go in for just a simple cash deal for the player now. So good player though. I think I know a Bristol fan and he was basically saying Mehmeti's probably their best player. which I was a little bit surprised about because I thought Scott Twine probably would be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Ruth Sin says, "Hi guys, late to the party. Silly YouTube didn't alert me."
Have I got the wrong Sidibe here?
What are you looking
What's
at?
his first name?
Kalidou.
Yeah, I have got the wrong one.
Kalidou.
Okay, yep. It was on the wrong one. Yes, okay. Yeah, I like Zach Viner as a reasonably cheap option. Like, it's not going to cost us too much. Currently valued at 2 million. If we got him for even 3-4 million, not the end of the world. 28 years old, centre back. And if they're making a solid push for the playoffs and that sort of zone, I think he's the type of character that you want, who is kind of a Parky character, very solid, very experienced, can come in and not give you any bad performances, because we need to pull points in this second half. So I think that's a pretty decent one. Anis Mehmeti then, they're saying he's worth 6.6 million. Attacking mid, can also play striker, left wing, right wing, and centre mid as well. 6.6 million, 25 years of age. That's a decent sort of range of player for us, actually, I think. And then to kind of mix it with the ones we have. And so what? Let's say that's even, he's coming out of contract, another 7 million or whatever, 8 million there. And then we're talking about a 14 million striker. Apparently, the rumor that's still out there, the unknown 14 million striker. Like, we're starting to talk 20-25 million then.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it's going to be. I feel like it'll be quality over quantity, and you'll get they'll do a couple big ones, 2 or 3 big ones. I don't know. Viner one, I like Viner because he can play all over the back three.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's played every spot for them this season in back three, so it wouldn't be a huge change for him. He can fill in wherever. Now, is he willing to make a move and to go and go somewhere and not start? He's probably going to want to start. So in that, if he did come, who does he start for? Is it Max? Is it, I don't think it'd be Doyle. Doyle's playing out of his mind right now. And I mean, Hyam's been a rock for us. Max hasn't been bad. So, I mean, do we necessarily need it? Probably not. I mean, I think Dan Scar's been fantastic when he's come in and played. So I don't know that we need that one. His age, being that he's at the age, if he was 24, then maybe it's something. Okay, it's a player you have more long term. Okay. Being he's 28, 29.
He's 25.
Viner?
Oh, sorry, I'm mixing.
I'm talking about Viner.
Okay.
I'm talking about Viner.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
talking
28.
About Viner.
Yeah, Viner.
3 seasons.
So a little older. Not that he's old,
31.
but he's a little older. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I think you could. There's probably younger players that are as good, I would imagine. I mean, we got Doyle, so I think if you found another Doyle type, maybe it's a deal. But yeah, you never know. Who knows?
Yeah, I suppose it comes down to whether Zach thinks he can take a number one spot in our back line. And if he's willing to give up on a contract with Bristol City, then he believes in his own abilities to do so.
No.
And I think Parky would be willing to say, yeah, you can take a first spot if you can take it.
If you can take it, right.
Yeah,
I wonder. I mean, because it did seem
I think he'd be stronger than what we have.
I feel like we were after him hard, and then when we couldn't get him, we got Hyam. And so it was kind of an either or type. You know what I mean? I think Parky wanted one and got one. Ended up getting,
yeah, but now we need to cover Scar. Scar's gone out of contract this summer, isn't he?
Is he out of contract? He might be. I don't know. I don't remember we signed him last year. I don't know. We were signing everybody on 3 years. So
Okay.
he might, if he got a
But
3-year contract, he might have another year. I don't know.
But either way, Scar is playing at his max. He
Right.
is.
But I mean, you could argue Viner would be playing at his max too. Now maybe it's higher than Scar, but you know what I mean. You're not expecting him to get better. You know what I mean? Same
Okay,
with
but
Ryan.
we've got to think that Viner is on a similar level than Hyam
Mm-hmm.
/ better, because if Viner was our first choice, and it's believed he was, and then we took Hyam,
Mm-hmm.
that's a player you still want, I think, without spending 10 million on someone, and we're not right now because there's other priorities to take our cash.
Mm-hmm.
I would put Hyam above Viner, personally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think Viner's he's a decent championship player. I'm not really sure he's much more than that. I think also at his stage of his career, I'm not convinced he would look at coming to Wrexham as possibly a good career move, because I'm not convinced he plays every game for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at his stage, he'll want to go somewhere and play every week.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would think so. Jim Ware in the chat says, "Is Hampus not happening?" Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, that's nobody said that's off.
Yeah.
But there were some other clubs interested too. So that one's kind of went quiet.
It's not dead. It's just cold, quiet. You know, I would not be surprised if out of nowhere we just got an announcement we got it, but who knows with that one. So yeah, we don't know. But just to finish off, then, if we go back to Anis Mehmeti for a second, right? So that's one we were looking at. The other one then was the Kalidou Sidibe, who is playing for Guingamp in the second League Two, France, isn't it? Yeah. 199. So he's a huge lad, really tall, 26 years of age. Market value saying 1.2 million, but that doesn't necessarily mean much. Central midfielder, attacking midfielder. Who would we prefer? Do you want to risk a League Two French tall lad? Or would you want like an Anis Mehmeti?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's. I mean, I definitely want Mehmeti. I don't know about the big guy. That he's a weird one. I don't know.
It could be agency nonsense potentially.
Yeah, that one just seems
one.
like a weird one. That seems like a weird one to me. Weird.
26 and not to be even in his own top league in French league. I worry about that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. Let's see, Nick Donnell and we really need him for long enough for us to need a young guy. What are we talking? Talking about a center back? I mean, yeah. I mean, if we could get another Doyle, I'd rather have. I'd love to get another young, really good, high quality player that could possibly step up.
Yeah, I think the problem with some of these is we can't upgrade all of them to the level we want.
Yeah.
So it's, do we not upgrade now and wait till the summer when we have more money?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want someone in now who's going to strengthen that area for potential injuries or issues for the remainder of the year?
Yeah. I mean, my thing is, I think with younger players, at least, even if you did bring in a younger player, and let's say you got promoted. Yeah. Okay. So you're right. My reasoning for wanting a younger player would be, even if he's not good enough for the step up, he's going to be worth more than Viner. So if you get Viner and bring him in, and then we get promoted, Viner's not worth anything, and you're not going to play him in the Prem. You know what I mean? Whereas a 23-year-old that is a really good championship player, maybe he's not quite good enough for the Prem, but if you wanted to sell him, he'd be worth something to championship teams. also would be worth something, or you could loan him out to a championship club and see if he gets a little better. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's advantages to going younger.
There is, and I agree with it for more long term thinking. But right now, the problem for me is I think that if they're truly going for a playoff push this summer, they're not doing long term strategic thinking in January.
Yeah, I agree. I'm Ricky Coleman right here. Brenna's almost back. We don't. I agree. I don't really need one. I know I threw that one in the I threw Viner out. What was a couple weeks ago um in the thing just because it was a player we were linked with in the summer, and I'll be honest, there just wasn't a lot of talk. So I was just throwing something out for a conversation starter, and it turned into a really big conversation. It kind of got people going on it, but yeah, it was. I kind of agree. I don't think we definitely don't need a center back in this window. Now, if a really good one comes available,
Mhm.
I could see him going for one, but I don't know if Viner's the one.
Yeah. Okay, so Matt Al's thrown something out there that we can discuss. If we were to go up again, what we've spent until now has potentially been dead money, as very few of our squad will cut it in the Prem. Yes, but how is that different to any other team or squad?
Yeah.
We just saw Sunderland spend 240 million, 225 million, whatever it was, on their brand new squad, and they ended up with 13, 14 new players. How is it any different?
It isn't, and the honest answer, it hasn't really been any different for a number of decades. Because I'm old enough to remember when Blues were going up and down from the Championship to the Premier League. I remember so many seasons we'd be fighting for automatic promotion. We'd look through our side and go, okay, then who realistically next season can we use? But in those days, you'd probably pick one, maybe two out of your side, which you thought, well, they might be able to make the step up. Realistically, you knew the rest just couldn't. And I think it's, in all fairness, I think the gap's got a lot wider since then. So now it's kind of like, well, I think you just have to be realistic and say anyone you sign now is not going to be there when you get to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
And that's the argument when you're talking about long-term thinking, is if you have a younger squad kind of on the up, even if they're not going to be getting to Prem quality for even a couple of seasons potentially, is it's much easier to loan those players out / sell them to other teams and cover your costs when you have to leave them behind. Kind of, is you can get rid of them. That's potentially one problem maybe with our squad, is if we have these older players that are maybe useful to us for a couple of seasons, the other teams may not want them. And if you ultimately send them to League One because they want to play football, they're not going to get their loans, their wages covered or anything like that. So the cost is still on you. They're just going out to play football. So long-term strategy, I understand that. But the longer we stay in the Championship, the younger our squad is going to get, the stronger the squad's going to get, and the closer to that scenario we will be by the time we go up.
It's the big argument amongst kind of our fan base right now is that our summer recruitment is coming under a lot of scrutiny because obviously we're not doing as well as everyone thought we would do. But you look at our summer recruitment, there was no young players. It was all what you would classify as, the ready-made articles. Everyone was in their mid to late 20s, proven at this level, or not even some of the ones we bought were older and proven at different levels, equal to the Championship, which is why I think now you look at our rumours that I say they're a bit stronger than rumours, we're apparently signing 2 players. I think it's quite noticeable we're going after a couple of younger players, because one of the big gripes we've had, or what's been labelled at us, is that while we look good and some of the transfer business has been good, we do lack a bit of energy in the side and that youthful energy around the pitch. But again, the players we're linked to, there's not a cat and house chance I see either of them being ever good enough to play in the Premier League, because you know, I think one's 21 and the other one's, I think, 24 or something like that. The realistic thing, even at that age, if they were good enough to play, or you know, were going to be good enough to play in the Premier League, they'd be at a Premier League club already. Maybe out on loan, but they'd be at a Premier League club. So
Okay, so ready to move on to some other teams. Have we got any player updates? I have none prepped.
Me neither.
Do we know any? Let's do a quick search.
Yeah.
there's the two Weaver all but signed, apparently.
Yeah. Go ahead and talk about yours. What you got going on?
We are apparently signing Abdullah Mana from Swedish football, from, I think it is Malby. He's a winger / number 10, 21 years old, I think he is. He was heavily linked to Coventry before they got Romain Esse on loan. We were linked with him a few weeks back, and no one really paid too much attention to it because the club's interested with Coventry, which everyone knew Coventry were after a winger, and Southampton, and I think it was Crystal Palace or somebody in the Premier League. But there was a journalist that come out and basically turned around and said Coventry had moved on because they had been gazumped by a fellow Championship club for the player. And a lot of people assumed it was Southampton, I believe. But as it turns out, it was us. So he apparently came over for a medical today, I think, or did a medical on Sunday or something. So his signing apparently is imminent. So should be tomorrow or certainly before the weekend. Much needed cover for the wing out wide left, and also can play the 10. I think this does mean that Lewis Kumas will probably have his loan terminated and he'll end up back at Liverpool and sent somewhere else. And the other player, which is the one that's captured a lot of people's sort of creativity, and is the this lad we're signing from Colombian from Girona in Spain, and his name is John Solis. He's essentially a cheap Rodri, is the best way I can explain it. Defensive midfielder, 6'1", 6'2", pretty mobile. And of course, I didn't realise this. Girona, of course, are part of the City group, so they all play possession-based football. So he should fit in reasonably well to how we play. Originally, it was talked about it was a £4.5 million transfer, but as it's come out, I think Fabrizio Romano tweeted it the other day or the other night, I think it was, that the deal had been agreed and he was flying out in the morning for medical and signing. It's actually leaked out later today that it's an £800,000 loan, which if he makes 11 appearances for us between now and the end of the season, we have to sign him as a mandatory fee for, I think they said it's $8 million, I think it is, or something like that in the summer. So try before you buy, I suppose. It's the sort of deal I think Aaron probably would go for on a Football Manager. So
I like those deals. Those are good deals.
He's the one that excites me so far, because the one thing I think we've lacked so far is that physicality in midfield, especially away from home. We've not been able to sort of have somebody, a destroyer in the middle of the park, just to break up counter attacks, or just, you know, be that physical presence in there. And by all accounts, he certainly is that. So whether he's any good or not, of course, is a different matter. But I think they said he's made 3 La Liga starts this season and appeared in 12 matches. So as I said to somebody the other day, you don't appear 12 times in La Liga if you're a bad player, let's be honest. So, but,
okay. If you're done, I have a bit of a list here to go through. Ready?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so first up is Coventry City. They added winger Yang Min Hyuk, whatever. He was a loan recall and then transfer from Tottenham after he was with Portsmouth.
Yep.
Good signing. Anything to say on that one?
I was a little bit surprised.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Good surprise, bad surprised.
I would say bad.
I don't know if it's bad, but I don't think he really showed anything that would make me think that he's going to really do anything for Coventry. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Seems like an odd one. I thought they could get a higher level player, maybe.
He certainly isn't He isn't a Josh Murphy who plays for Portsmouth out wide. Put it that way. He's nowhere near as good as him. So
Yeah.
it kind of, I was a little bit perplexed of why, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they also have forward Esse. He has some limited Premier League time with Crystal Palace, and he's ex-Millwall.
That's a good signing.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought
Yeah.
that was a good one.
He's a quality wide player, to be honest. Palace signed him quite young, but I remember his breakthrough for Millwall. He looked every bit of a Premier League player in the making. Speed, trickery, kind of the full package, really. He just hasn't been able to break through in the Premier League, which, hey, there's a long list of players who struggle to do that. But he's still very young. Yeah, I'd be interested. It certainly adds competition because obviously they've been pretty settled, haven't they, Coventry, where they play Mason Clark on one side and Sakamoto on the other. I have a sneaky feeling this lad comes in and probably replaces Sakamoto out wide on the right, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Next up for Oxford United, they have secured midfielder Jamie Donnelly from Tottenham after a recall where he was at Stoke.
Yeah, he didn't get much time at Stoke, did he? That's an interesting one. I remember him from League One. I think he did a pretty good job in League One last season. So
Leighton Orient, yeah.
Yeah, he scored a boatload of goals if I remember right. But yeah, it's interesting. Probably not just probably the type of deal you'd expect them to do, I guess. Struggling at the bottom end of the championship. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. Could work. You never know.
Okay. Stoke City, he played 6 matches and scored 1 assist.
The only thing I would say regards him, he's very much a flair number 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sort of player I would anticipate you would say is a good sign, or I won't say good signing, but an important signing for a side fighting relegation. Because Oxford don't strike me as the sort of side they're going to play their way out of trouble. They're going to scrap their way out of trouble. So I kind of wonder where he fits in, or is he? Well, it's a loan, isn't it? So
new manager there too. So they just signed or they just hired what's his name? Oh shoot, he was at Luton. He was at Wickham last season before he left, and then about this time last season went to take over at Luton.
Matt Bloomfield.
Yeah, Bloomfield. So as I assume he would have had something to do with that. Maybe wanting to get him in. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, and they do have one more. They have Miles Part-Harris from Brentford.
I saw that one the other day, and I don't remember looking.
Don't care.
I don't remember looking.
Okay. Some stats then. Okay, 25-26 season he was with Brentford. He didn't go out, and he only had 1 match. So he's been out for quite a while. The previous season, 24-25, he was with Swansea, played 30 matches, scored 3 and 4 assists.
Mm-hmm. And he's a wide player, left wing. They got him listed as a left winger. Yeah, did okay at Swansea, I guess.
Yeah, the last half of the season he hasn't been playing, but now he's moved out again.
Common theme though is they're all seen quite flair type players, which does that mean they're looking to move away from what Rowett has done and trying to play their way? I mean, brave.
Well, I wonder, is he going down the road of we need points, we have to win matches, and I'm going to risk it?
But I'm not convinced those are the sort of players that are going to be good enough to play your way out of trouble at this level, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Okay. Next up then we have Hull City. Free signing of defender James Debayo, ex-Leeds United, unattached. Free agent.
About him.
James DeBayo. Let's have a look at some stats here.
Can't say his name rings a bell for me.
Okay, he was with. Yeah, he's just finished his youth career. He's 20. Okay, so he was with Leeds United officially for the 24-25 season. Only played 2 matches for them. So he's been hanging around the main team, basically. Didn't get to play centre-back. 40,000 market value apparently at the moment because they haven't. He hasn't done anything yet. So brand new to the game, getting a first real loan, and we'll see what he does. 20-year-old centre back, first time. That's an interesting one for Hull.
Surely backup cover, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. But is he any good? We'll have to find out. We'll have to see if he's needed. Okay, this is one that there has been a lot of discussion in the Discord about. Middlesbrough, permanent deal for young Chelsea midfielder Leo Castledine.
Seemed like it.
Now, no real rumours on this one. This was a type of kid we should probably be going for to bring in.
Yeah, I
Frost.
listed him in. I think it's because I listed him in my players to look for. Look at in our pre-show for the transfer window. So yeah, looked a really good player in League One, scoring loads of goals, scoring some really good goals. It's always kind of a punt, but if they got him for $1 million, like what was rumored, I think it's worth the punt, probably. You know what I mean? So yeah, I wouldn't mind having him. Take a punt on him.
Okay. Next up, then we have Sheffield United signed fullback, however, from Wolves. Now it appears that's a loan. Yeah, that's a loan. It's not a deal. So right wing back, 23 years of age, 180, and seasons. The first half of this season with Wolves, he played 8 matches, so he got a couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
With them, which isn't bad at 23 years of age. And now he's gone out to make a name for himself. He was with Auxerre the year before, played 30 matches, 1 goal, 2 assists for right wing back. So a bit of experience, but still needs to make another name for himself. He played with Stoke the previous 2 seasons from that, and actually did pretty okay.
Very good going forward, a bit suspect defensively by all accounts.
Okay. Next up, then we have Swansea City. They added ex-Crystal Palace captain Ward. This one might be interesting. Joel Ward, I think. 36 years of age. That's the guy. Yep. Ex-Crystal Palace captain, 36 years of age. Last season, what did he do? 24-25 full season, he played 3 matches. Season before that, he played 26 and got 1 assist.
Very good player. Problem was that was back in the day, and that was some years back. Connor Cody V2 this.
Okay. Interesting one. Yeah, let's wait and see on that one. See if it pulls off for them. Then we're down to nearly finished. QPR defender Edwards from Southampton.
That's a good signing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just on QPR as a side note, did you all see the news that Poku again has done his hamstring in? He's out for another couple of months. Yeah, he's out for another couple of months.
Wow.
Bullet dodged on that one.
Wow.
Okay, so yes, this is Ronnie Edwards, 22 years of age, centre back, can play right back and also defensive mid apparently. Roughly 5.6 million market value. Right, seasons. Last season, he played 25. Yeah, sorry. This half of the season, this year, he was with Southampton, played 14 matches. Did okay, I guess, 6.85 rating. The half season before that, he was with QPR, 22 matches, 2 goals. And he was back at Southampton for the half before that, but didn't play. So yeah, he's quite young. He's still making his way into the teams, but he's starting to get around there. So he's back at QPR again for another stronger season where he'll get more game time. Anything else you know about him? You said he was pretty good.
Yeah, good player, good solid player, and could be a good young player. Could develop.
I think is this a permanent signing or
No, that's a loan. I think they
Oh,
still.
well, I thought it was permanent. Okay.
Do you know what? It doesn't actually say. Let me have a look at that. Let's have a look at transfers for QPR.
because if it's a permanent signing, I think it's a cracking signing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was assuming. Maybe it may not be. I assumed it was.
Says contract January 2026 until undisclosed. No fee has been reported and it's not registered as on loan. So maybe they did buy him.
Yeah, I've just literally loaded up QPR's website and they've just he's back at QPR after completed his permanent transfer from Southampton for an undisclosed fee.
Confirmed. Right. Interesting.
Real quick in the chat, they're having a little talk about we were rumored to spend possibly 14 million, up to 14 million on a player. I'm assuming that was Siddiqui Sharif. That would be the player that kind of fits that profile that we have been linked to by Pete O'Rourke. I know Alan Nixon had kind of came out and said we had a bunch of money. We were looking at a European striker, whatever that means. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was very
It's not like Alan Nixon to be vague, is it?
yeah, it was very vague, but I would assume it was the link to Siddiqui Sharif that Peter O'Rourke had put out. I think early December. So that would be my guess there, guys. Another one, I don't know how many more you got.
One.
Charlton today announced Harry Clark on loan from Ipswich. There's one to look at, and then also Patrick Bamford officially did sign an extension or a contract with Sheffield United. Those were two I had. So I know there's a lot of talk about Bamford, but ended up staying United.
He signed for a year.
Yeah, I think it was like 18 months. It was so
The
rest
remainder
of this year
and
rest of this year
extension of a year. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay, then the last one I have here, totally underwhelming. George Earthy, Bristol City on loan, 21 years of age, attacking mid/right wing. He was with West Ham United. Still is, because he's on loan. Played 40 matches in 24-25 for Bristol City.
I wondered if that was possibly
the 21s.
That was possibly cover for the fact that they could be losing Matete.
How did he get 40 games though? With Bristol City. Really? All right.
Is this one of these where he was
I wouldn't have thought
player?
he'd have made the squad. He is young, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether where's he on loan from?
West Ham.
Yeah, I just wonder whether West Ham have bought him and loaned him back.
I don't know.
But do you recognise him from Bristol City for the 24-25 season?
I know the people that the few comments that I had saw on it, they seem pretty positive about it. So I'm not going to pretend I know much about him, but they seem fairly fairly happy with that
Well,
deal.
they have him down here scoring 3 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah, I think
What,
they
what
like
was his What was his first name again?
George Earth.
George Earthy.
It's weird that he's played 40 matches, like, and hasn't come to our attention when he scores, and he's an attacking mid. How? I don't know. Anyway, okay, one to watch for Bristol City. He's back with them.
So, real quick, touching back with Matt Alley, he said sure use value is only $7 million. I don't know where you're getting that number from. Peter,
That's all right.
this is what Peter O'Rourke's thing said. Ambitious Wrexham have joined the chase for Angier's teenage sensation Siddiqui Sharif, and could make a record-breaking offer for the forward in January as they look to steal a march on a number of Premier League clubs. I would assume that's going to be more than 7, so probably closer to maybe in that ballpark of maybe it's not right at 14, but could be like 14 with could be like the deal for the other guy we got in some having a brain fart. It's the problem with going to do this right after work. I forget everybody's names. Yeah. But anyway, I immediately thought it was Sharif when all those rumors came out because it just made sense. But,
yeah, he's still got another 2 seasons on a contract as well, which helps bump it up a bit.
yeah, for sure.
And 19 years of age.
Yeah.
See, this is something that is really interesting. I don't want to dive into this too much but that's the sort of age range. If he is good, that he's free to the squad for quite a while, and that significantly helps bump up the squad because you don't need to get rid of as many players. We can have backup in different places. It might only be for injury cover if we get 2 injuries in the same sort of area, but that's what'll help bulk up our squad. I want some players like this for the long term.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I do too. And I mean, here's the thing. Like I seen Hab said, we're really just passing rumors with no credibility. Actually, this one had quite a bit of credibility. Peter O'Rourke, he usually, I'd say we were definitely in for him. I don't think he'd have missed. He usually does pretty decent job of being at least on the train. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't get him, but he's usually fairly good, I think.
I'm a little bit more wary of Peter O'Rourke these days than I was some years back because he started writing for one of these football sites, hasn't he?
I don't know.
Sure. He didn't used to because obviously I think he used to. Pretty sure he had a job with a paper or something, but I think in the last couple of years he started to write for one of these like not Football Insider, but that type of site. So I think there's a lot of stories that go out there, which I'm pretty sure a lot of it is not anything to do with him, but it has his name on it and it's from his account. So yeah, I take a lot of what he says with a pinch of salt these days. And it used to seemed a lot more accurate, so we say 2-3 years ago.
Okay. There is one more here actually that I wanted to briefly mention on goalkeepers. Southampton signed Peretz from Bayern as a goalkeeper. And Stoke are looking to take Gavin Bazuna from Southampton. Very interesting. So I think Bazuna is Peretz is supposed to be really good. A quick look at it. So keep an eye on that one. Let's see, it's getting good.
Yeah, for sure.
But they better do something. They're far enough down the league.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I can't find anything else. I was trying to see what else there was. I think we hit most of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think that's good, everybody. 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we've done our extra extra minutes as well. We're going to be heading into penalties now if we keep going.
Yeah.
About 20 seconds in the chat to remind us of something we need to talk about.
Yep.
Our whistle is going.
Yeah. Yeah. You are turning into a bit of a robot all of a sudden, Patty.
It's perfect on my end.
Is it? It's not on everybody else. Oh shoot.
Robots can be cool too. Don't worry.
Yeah. It's all right. I'm gonna have to change my little wizard to a robot. Yeah, there we go. Change the wizard Patty to robot Patty.
Okay, guys, what's up next? Tomorrow night, do we have a show?
I don't know. It depends on when Ken decides to do footy tips. Sometimes he does it Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, so next one up is Ken with his funny tips, guys. Keep an eye out for it. And then the weekend, we are back in action for league football.
Yes.
So, guys, on that bombshell, we will take care and we will see you again. Robot Paddy out.
Like and subscribe.
Bye.